Hey guys, it's Adrian. I am here with you. Channel is Funky WK2 on YouTube. Today we're going to do the install for the Gleaming-Alloy rear diff skid. Got all the parts laid out like they're going to go down. Here's that. There's all the nuts and bolts. What's that you say? I'm looking pretty rough? Well, this is all you get because it's triple digits in Texas. That's how the summer goes, and it's also yard day, so we are where we are. Anyway, here we go. Alright, left side bracket. This tag actually comes on the other side, but I flipped it around just because it's easier when I'm doing this. Anyway, doesn't matter because it's coming off now. For this, you're going to use one of the 13mm bolts, the 13mm, can't talk, serrated flange nut. And when you first do everything, we're doing it all hand tight, that's it. Alright, space is at a premium under here. I have the vehicle in off-road 2, and then I backed it up into my garage where it's just past like the lip of the 2-inch lip of the garage. So I've got a little bit of height. I'm on a creeper, which then takes up a bunch of that space, so there's not a ton of room, but it's doable. So if you hear me grunting and banging stuff, you could do better if you want. I just didn't feel like putting in that much work. So the 13mm short bolt goes through this hole up here on the control arm. I'm sure my hand is blocking most of the camera right now. I'll move in a second though. Let me get this thing started. Alright, there we go. So now you should be able to see that, I hope. And then this elongated slot gives you room to move this back and forward. And the point of that is to make sure you can have clearance for your gas tank skid. Because let's face it, if you're putting this rear diff skid in, you should have a gas tank skid already, otherwise you're just asking for it. And then also, so it can clear the balancer on the drive shaft, because that thing sticks down and gets in the way big time. So that's that side, it's just finger tight, and we'll go to the other side. Alright, this is the right side. Get it up in here. Like so. Go to your home, ball. Oh, we're almost there. Oh, you know what I'm saying? There we go. Okay. So that one's in. I just got to balance started finger tight here. I am bumping the crap out of the camera. Sorry, guys. I feel like we need some Jeopardy music right about now. Sum the situation up. Okay. That's good enough for now. So now that's in. Crossbar is next. That is this piece. What you're looking at is the weight on the end of the drive shaft, and I guess it's technically called a propeller shaft. And these are the fins on the front of the diff. I have the Hemi, so your diff may look different. I think the Hemi and the diesel both have the same rear diff. So older models also may have some differences, but overall this thing doesn't even touch the diff, so you should be fine. This notch goes on the driver's side, that's the left side. Make sure that happens because this bar is not symmetrical. There we go. Okay. I hope y'all were watching because I can't repeat that. Alright, next step, you're going to want 2 of the 1-inch M8 carriage bolts, also known as 25mm. Those go in through the front. Make sure you match the first carriage bolt hole up to that first slot. Oh, my arm doesn't bend like that. Alright, hold please. And then the second one, the second slot. Keep in mind on these, finger tight might actually be too tight since those nuts are serrated. They can clamp down pretty good, so make sure you've still got some wiggle room with everything, however you end up with it. Right now we have these slid back, this bracket slid back so that we can get to everything, but ultimately before we tighten it up, it's going to be moved forward just to help everything line up better. So this is done. I'm hoping the camera's lined up right. It's hard to see on the screen because it's bent so far back. I'll do the other side also. Basically, you're gonna do the same thing for the other side. All right, here we are on the right side, passenger side. These are the 1-inch M8 carriage bolts. You come in over here and do the same thing that you did on the other side. Get those knocked through there, and oh, almost got it. And try to get these nuts started on there. This is the other one. Oh, we got it. Look at that. Alright, so now those are good. Alright, step 8, we're going to bring the diff skid up, and the front of it should have 4 holes in it, or say 4 holes, 4 square holes for the other 4 carriage bolts, and they're going to go in these slots right here. Also worth noting, I've kept this foam that it came in under it this whole time because I tend to slide things around and drag them around in the garage. So I know it's going to get banged up anyway, but that'll keep it pretty for a little bit. And there's the front of it. So this is going to line up like this. Does not go inside of it. The bar goes in front of it. And you're going to push those carriage bolts through from the inside. Best way to do this. Actually, let's start on the outside. That'll be easier to get to. Start by putting one of these through there. Bring it up. And hopefully we can get it through there. Helps if you have the nut in your hand already, so let's go ahead and add that to the step. Alright, that one's started. Alright, we'll go to the opposite side. Alright, those 2 are on. Repeat for the remaining bolts. And these, it doesn't hurt to tighten down a little bit more. I mean, realistically, there's still going to be a lot of play in there because, like, right now my arm is between the diff and the skid, so it's not up all the way anyway, so there's definitely room in there. Alright. Now we're talking. Alright, see if you can get those tightened up a little bit more. They should all be started enough that they go. Alright. Now it's okay to let this hang. Alright, this is looking at the back side of the Hemi rear diff. And this last step, let me get these bolts prepped here. There's actually a couple of different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you both, just in case you're interested. If you're going to have to drill anyway, if you don't have these holes, then you might want to do the second way. So the bolts that it comes with are designed to go in these hexagonal holes right here. Most of the Grand Cherokee should have those, but I know that some don't. So this one, the Allen head bolt, there's 2 of them that come with the kit. If you have the holes already, one of your options is to drop it through like that. And then you just put the lock washer on, and then you repeat for the other side, and that's it. That's a done deal. You can align it left to right a little bit. There's play in this, there's play in the front. What you're gonna want is, for me at least, you want it to line up so you can access your drain hole plug right there. There we go. Drain hole plug, That makes it easier. You shouldn't have to take this off to drain it. This thing has vents in it to help drain anything you get in there, mud, water, extra diff fluid, whatever. And then for us, with the Hemi, sorry, I'm trying to get my light up there. That top hole is still right there, so that's accessible regardless. On some of them, I know the hole is up here at the front, and if you look down the side right there, you can see like you've still got plenty of room to access everything. That's the easy way. If you want to go like that, that works. What I'm gonna do, since I've already got those holes, I also already have a nutsert tool. I'm gonna drill those holes out a little bit, and I'm gonna put an M8 nutsert in each one. Oh, bye-bye. And by doing that, don't have to reach into this top part. Instead, there'll be a nutsert right here, and so I'll take this same bolt that comes with it, and I can just screw it in like that. But either way is perfectly fine. Just being bolted to this is where it's going to pick up most of the support for this, so don't worry about a nutsert or whichever way you decide you want to do it, or if you have to drill your own holes. So let me go ahead and get these drilled out, and I will come back. Alright, nutserts are in. Alright, cranking these down. Those are 5mm, by the way. 5mm Allen, or hex head, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so we got that part done. We're going to line the back up so that the oil drain plug is there. It's pretty much where we're going to want the back end to be. So now we will go back and start tightening up the front. I'm going to get these brackets where we want them. That should be good right there. Check for clearance inside the front of the diff cover, and between that and the balancer that's on the drive shaft, just to make sure. Right now I'm good. There's a whole finger width I can fit through there, so I'm not going to worry about it. We'll mosey back over here. Alright, looks like that's the right spot. Got a 13 on this side, and a 13 on this side. Alright, repeat for the other side, and then we'll go on to the next step. Once you have the control arm boxes tight, then be sure you go and get these. It's the other side of the L bracket, same control arm bracket. This is just where it attaches to the long bracket that goes across, the U-shaped one. Now we'll go do the front of the diff. Once you've checked your clearance and you've got everything else good, go ahead and tighten these down. I go back and forth across them a couple of times, just to get them all to the same tightness, and then go back across them. Go this longer one so I can get more torque on it. And then one final pass just to make sure they're all good and tight. Also known as German. Good and tight. Those are all done. So now the only thing left to do is tighten up the rear where we put the Allen bolts in. Alright, those are good to go. Here's the final walkthrough. Most people have this bolt coming through the other direction, and this will be a serrated flange nut. Instead, I drilled these holes out and added nut certs, just so I don't have to come up in here and mess with threading a bolt down in there. Pretty sure there's 8 or 9 sand dunes worth of dust in there, plus there's a washer or two from some previous test fitting with D. So I just decided to go this route instead. One thing I will say, you guys have probably noticed that it doesn't look centered. This exhaust pipe has let's just call it trail damage. And so it's bent, and so it's actually not the diff that's the problem. I mean, the diff cover. It's not the diff cover that's the problem. It's my exhaust. It's bent. So I'm hoping to replace that and tuck it up higher at some point anyway. And then here's a side view. Up over the exhaust pipe. That's the front of it. That's back end. You can see there's a good amount of clearance up here where my fingers are. The drive shaft should not move. Since this thing has the independent rear suspension, the diff doesn't lower when you put it in off-road 2 or when you lift it up. So it's one thing to remember about this. That drive shaft angle shouldn't be changing much. Alright, here's what the finished product looks like. Let's get in here close. This is looking forward. So that's the back side of the passenger side angle, the right one. You've got this nut. It comes up in there. That connects this side of it to the box for the control arm. And then that's the front side. It connects to the bracket. This is the front. Remember, the bracket goes on the outside of the front of the diff. And that is it. I'll get some pictures and I'll add them to this video. If you guys have any questions, please post up on here. I helped D with the testing and fitment, so if he's not available, I'd be happy to answer any questions.